before, and a lot of people were happy to hear that I was back, but only the people that obviously wanted to reach out to me would. So obviously I haven't heard from the whole domain industry, so I'm sure they have feelings, and one way or the other, and that's just the way it goes.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and mostly domain industry or web entrepreneurs. Welcome to another live stream of HostMaria, and today we have Adam Dicker and we have a guest, Pavel Sizov. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Okay, let us do it like that. And today Adam will be reviewing a portfolio of Pavel. Pavel, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yes, hi. I'm accountant by profession, doing also consulting, management accounting, the financial planning, so this type of work. But why I started to do small portfolios, it's like a hobby for me, actually. I was involved in several projects where we were doing branding for the clients, and I kind of like this job to create a new brand, to do the brainstorming, to do this kind of things. And slowly, I have this. It's not a big portfolio, as you can see. It's not. I'm sure it's maybe not great, but it's maybe the domain that I like, and I'm sure that they will be sold or.
Yes. So Pavel is my accountant, actually, my second accountant. I moved from one guy to another one, and I've been talking about domains all the time to Pavel. And
maybe it's Helmut's influence. I had several domains before him, before meeting Helmut, but yeah, under maybe his influence, I created this small portfolio. Most of the domains are on the brand bucket. Some domains are selling on dan.com. Some of the domains on the GoDaddy platform. So it's
okay, Adam.
Yeah. So a couple questions for you, Pavel, before we get started. How many domains do you have?
One second, Pavel.
Yep.
Can you put up headphones, please? I think we have echo issue.
Just a second.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a second. I need to find the headphones.
Okay.
Okay, so while we look for his portfolio,
yes.
My questions were going to be very simple. How many have you had in your portfolio, and how many have you sold so far? And how long have you had them? And that will give us a general idea of where his portfolio is going and what we can do to help him sell them if they're saleable.
So get ready. Pavel is coming. So he's not a professional domainer, a guy who likes .coms and brandable.coms.
Perfect.
Pavel?
Oh my God.
Okay, getting ready, yes.
Yes, it's working.
Sometimes there are technical difficulties when you do live interviews.
That's fine. That's the beauty of them.
I noticed you both have a lot of books behind you.
Yeah, it's like a bookshelf.
So you can hear us, Pavel?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so my question for you, I have a few questions for you, and then we can get started. How many domains do you have at the moment that you consider brandables?
From the list I provided to you, I think about maybe 50 to 70 domains are brandables, maybe up to 100. Okay. The other domains, they were bought for different reasons and for different. I didn't include some domains that are bought for my projects and for the clients. So I have several more domains.
So you'll be happy to know that I haven't seen the domains yet. So we're going to be doing really live. Have you sold any of these brandables at this point? And how long have you had them?
Some of the domains I purchased quite a long time ago. So some of the domains maybe 2 years ago, 1 year ago. So kind of. To be honest, now I don't have any time to deal with the domains, and I'm not doing anything. I'm not selling, and I'm not buying, and they just on the marketplace. But when I have time, but not at the moment.
Okay. Have you sold any?
Yes, I've sold 3 domains.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So
the prices?
two on the marketplace. The
Well, we don't
one-
need to go. We don't
Yeah,
really need to go on the prices.
the prices is all my portfolios. The range of price from $1 to $3,000 on average.
Okay.
So one domain I sold for £2,000, several domains for $1,500. So it's
Okay.
Wow.
Very good, and that's very reasonable pricing. So,
Yeah.
that would be an area that you could obviously sell domains like that or other domains. Your prices aren't outrageous; they're realistic. Maybe
Yeah,
even too low.
they're quite realistic, and also what Helmut asked me, do you want to speak on live? And I told, okay, I can speak. And my point of view, and I'm a domain investor like you guys, and I have a small portfolio, and not 2 letters domain, not 3 letters.
No,
but
that's fine.
my interest is the brandable domains that, and also my approach to the domains is it should be brandable. It should be protected with a trademark, not only I don't like the generic words, and I don't think it's a value in them, to be honest. But it's my opinion. You can tell yours.
So you said about trademarks. Does that mean you've
Yeah.
already got trademarks on them, or you're hoping that they'll apply for trademarks when they buy them?
I think people who buy in brandable domains, they will apply to the trademarks. And on the marketplace, I put the comments. Especially on the den, I think you can put the comments. I'm told for some domains, I can help them to do the preliminary search, the trademark search, and even can help with the trademark registrations.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you can cross-sell your services as well immediately.
Yes.
And it obviously depends what country the buyer is living on based on the trademark in that specific country as well.
Yes, but I mean the principles of trademark registration are the same in many countries, and the trademark is quite difficult area. It's different from the from the domains themselves, and it's by territory. So USA is separately, for example, the Europe is separately, UK will be separately, Asia, China is separately. So if you're doing the multinational brand, you need to invest a huge amount of money for the trademarks. And
Okay, so a couple questions for you that follow up on the brandables. The 3 that you've sold, were they sold on different marketplaces or the same marketplaces?
they sold on the same marketplace. 2 of them sold on the same marketplace. It's a Brand Bucket. So you know this marketplace. It's so you put the domains to their review. They can they check if it's suitable for their marketplace. They put the simple logo. I don't like their logos, but well, it's a simple. It's $10-$30 logo, and they present it, and it's available like it's selling with a logo. It's nothing connected with the trademark. It's just a domain with logo. So,
Yeah,
but they increase in the value, of course, because people, when they look at the logo type, they think a bit differently mentally that this is already kind of brand.
Okay. Have you done any outbound sales or tried to sell any through outbound marketing?
Yes, one domain I sold to my client, and I mean mainly my interest is. I even sometimes I'm doing when client approaching me if I can, because I had this experience and I like this area and I have connection with some creative people. We're doing kind of naming and strategy naming and branding. So we also so we speak with the client and they say, okay, we need this brand, and we have this idea, and then we create the name looking at the first instance. Of course, we're looking at the existing marketplace, but then it's like a path. If you had experience in naming, it's you build a strategy how to develop a name, and it's sometimes it's a long process, but yeah,
but it's required if you're going to build and sell a good brandable to think outside and give them a whole path rather than just try to sell a name by itself and think that that's going to do it.
Yes, and I mean my approach to the domains, it's just a part of the game. It's not just a domain. It should be a brand. You should check first. In first instance, you should check the trademarks and if they're not violating other people's rights. And some domains, even they couldn't be registered as a trademark because it's a common words, and it's not possible to register. So from my point of view, the value of these domains, it's a huge market, and a lot of domains just overpriced for nothing. And
well, that's part of it. Some people just don't know how to price their names so that they'll actually sell, while other people price them so that they can hold on to them forever.
Yeah.
But when you said 1 to 2 years, that's not a long time to hold domains. I've had some domains for 15 to 20 years. So 1 to 2 years is not bad at all.
Okay.
Okay. Can we, one of you guys pull up and share the list, and we will, let's go through the list.
Absolutely.
And Pavel, have you ever used Google to try to find buyers for your brandables?
No, to be honest, no. I don't have time to deal with the domains. To be honest, I explain you. it's just like a hobby, and
okay, no problem.
So some of the domains I purchased like secondhand. Some of the domains I invented myself when I had time and interest, and I like some of the domains. I don't like the others, and it's different from the. I think it's a different approach as a business. It's not a business like yours. It's kind of more personal and.
Yeah, it's interesting, that's for sure. So one of the things that you can do is you can use Google to help you find buyers for your domains in a few different ways. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm probably going to share my screen and run through. I just picked one off the list so we could go through how you actually do that. And then we'll come back to the list and analyze the list, if that's okay with you.
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so it's asking me to share my screen. Yes, just the one screen. We can do application window, Google, and off we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen at the moment.
Yes, we can.
So what I did was there's a few different search operators that you can use.
Adam, can I quickly, can you make it less, it is way too wide.
Yeah, I can make it much less wide.
Absolutely.
And I can make it bigger like I did so we can see.
That's fantastic, yes.
One of the things I did, there's many search operators that you can use to help you find, and this works for selling acronyms in Google. And you can do things like search for a word or an acronym in the actual title. You can look for multiple words in the title. You can look for words in the actual URL, or you can look for multiple words in the URL. And it'll give you just those URLs. So it'll help you find buyers for your domain name. So I just took the first one, which was Admirati, and it tells you some of the meetings, but then it also tells you some sites that actually have it in their description. These look like, oh, there's yours. There you go. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So that came up, but then there's stuff like anagrams there's all kinds of different ones. And as you can see, there's 2,700 that actually have it in it. So now if you want to find out if they actually have it in the title, so that was if they have it in the URL, but you can also search if they have it in the title of the page. And I do this to find all kinds of different acronyms and things like this. So this will tell you all the pages that have it in the actual title. And you can go to page 3 and it may be a word for other countries. Or other things where they actually have it in here, like here it is in a different language. So there's lots of different ways to pull out. Here's Admirati, maybe it's an artist, who knows? And there's lots of different things that you can do to try to find it and target people that actually, besides the dictionaries that's showing up. So I'll give you another example. We'll use another one of yours in a second. But if I just type an acronym like CMSI, it gives me every company that uses CMSI, and I can target them, including CMSI Technologies, and whatever else there could be. I mean, there's tons of them. CMSI Alberta, Redbooks, there's a company that does that. So if I own CMSI.com, I could target the Association of Progressive Communities. I could target whatever I wanted to. And again, if I just want to look about in URLs, I can do that. So it really helps me to find buyers for some of these domain names and for some brandables. Like now you can see it's in the title and it's in the URL. So if I mouse over it, down here it says in the bottom /CMSI, subcontractor risk management, it says about corporate information technologies, CMSI, and you can do things like that. So that's one of the real benefits of being able to, whoa, there's lots of me there. Okay, let me get out of, there we go, we're back. So there's lots of different ways to take your brandables, put them in Google, and even if you don't have a lot of time, grab somebody who may have some more time, or get a virtual assistant from Upwork for like $3-4 an hour, $2-3 an hour, and have them put together a list for you. And then you can send an email to those companies and say, hey, look, I have this domain name. You use the word in your URL. You use it in your company name. There's lots of things we can do to try, and it's priced very reasonable. Your names are very reasonable, so that also shouldn't be an issue. I've used this to sell much higher price names for acronyms, or for 3-letter, 2-letter, 4-letter domain names, even 5-letter domain names. So there's lots of use for us to be able to do it. And I did it with another one that you were advertising. I think it was Renewal, and RONUL, and there were quite a few companies that had that in their name. I don't know what it means. It's just something that sounds good and it makes sense. But it may mean something in other languages, and you need to check that out through Google Translate, because sometimes you'll find it means cool words in other languages you didn't even know. You just bought it because it was a brandable, and then it gives you more companies to target. You will continue to sell names through the way you're doing, because partially the reason is your names are pronounceable, and you've got a very realistic price range. Yeah, if you want to go back to the list, we can take a look at it. So what you're doing with Brandable is correct, yes. But I always suggest using some sort of outbound to try to get it. There may be some companies, like I'm sure there's companies with Audiosi. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing them right. Bidroid could be something to do with an Android thing. It could be an auction site to sell Android phones. I mean, it's a good name on its own. Box Tie. There's lots of names that make sense, and they are good brandables, like Brainerific, Canvas.com. That's a good name. There's a bunch of them that are good here. Like they're not typos, they're not misspells. They actually Sinoid. I mean, there's a lot of names here that are actually, these brandables are better than what I've seen from most people. Some people put FZXTCRAW and they think it's a brandable. It's not. Your names all pass the audio test, which means you can understand what it is by just the pronunciation, and that really helps. So, I mean, I think you've got a pretty good portfolio here, but I think you should, like Number T as they swing by. And those 4 letters that I saw, that was a UK domain name, GRBE that I just saw, those things you can easily find people, lvbh.uk. I mean, I can do a search right now, lvbh.uk. I'll share my screen.
This one particularly we bought for one of our projects.
Okay, so then we won't touch that one. But there's others that you have in there that can make sense and are good. So we won't touch that one because you bought it for a project. But
it is available, Pavel. Yes, it is for sale.
Yes, I think.
So we can.
Okay.
We can look into
so then
it,
I'll share my screen and we'll take a look and see what's available for that. Am I sharing? Yeah, I am.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were the letters again? LBVH.
LVBH.
Okay, and let's see what we got. LVBH. I'll split down my screen a bit, and then you've got there's a big company in Owler, which is good. There's lvbh.org, Londonderry Village. That's probably in the UK, and then we can break it down and search only in the UK, so we can do some other stuff. There's one in Pennsylvania, or if it means something else. But you can see companies. There's 3,890 companies that would probably like to have your com of that domain name. And it's very easy.
That was .co.uk and UK.
Yeah, that's fine. So what I can do is I'll do this for you after we're done. I'll extract all of these domain names, and I'll filter them down by companies in the UK and just give you a list that'll also extract the emails, so you can go ahead and email to them and won't have to. You can change it around again. Sorry, I'll stop sharing for now. And that will allow you to have a list just to market that one domain for, and you'll sell it for more than $1,500 or whatever it is. You'll probably get for that one alone, probably I'd say about $4,500 to $5,500.
Okay.
So, and I'll do that for you when we're done. So at least it makes it worthwhile. So it'll take me a day, but I'll get you a list. I'll get you an email. I'll even try to help you sell the name if you want, so that we can actually.
It would be good for the advertising of you.
You know what? It's just good to do, because for me, selling names is a challenge. I love to sell names. So now that I've found one on here that you are interested in selling, that you may have bought for some reason but really don't have a reason to keep it now, let's try to sell it and let's see what happens. It'll be good when we come back in a week or two.
Actually, when we spoke with Helmut, I told him that Actually, to be honest, I don't have time to deal with the domains, and it's kind of I had time a couple of years ago, but now I'm kind of 100% busy, and I told him, okay, I will participate. I'm even ready to sell the whole portfolio for the say 20 or 25% of the market price. If somebody interested, but I mean, if you can sell one or two, it's also interesting. It's it's interesting. Yeah.
So one of the things that's good about good about you is that you're doing what most domainers should do. You may be doing it a little backwards, but you're perfect the way you're doing it. You already have a good job. You already have a good income. You've got a career. So what I suggest to most domainers is usually buy the domains, but build one up to a good business, run a good business, and then have the others sit there, market them when you can, try to get them going. But even if they just sit there and when you sell one by accident, you look in your email and it says, oh, sold, it's extra money. But you've already got the good job. So you're already at that point where you can do that, where if we go out and we sell one next week or within 3 weeks for $4,500 on the one we just looked at, it's just extra money, and everybody can use extra money right now, especially. But you can always, at least every time a domain comes in, even if it's a sale that I made, I look at it and I go, oh, that's nice. And my wife says, can I have half? All the time. All the time, 50%. And I'm like, So there's nobody that doesn't like to see a good domain come in. And the fact that you're already busy puts you already in the position that you want to be in, where the extra sale is just, it's interesting, but it's good to have once in a while, to have one of those come in for things that you may not know what you need the money for, but it comes in. So yeah, I'll help you do that. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll get your email. I'll keep Helmuts in the string, and we will. He'll be able to follow our progress on it, and let's have some fun and let's sell that domain name.
Okay.
There may be others too. I'll have to take a closer look at the portfolio when we're done.
Should we move on and just scroll through the portfolio?
Yep. But in summary, I'd say there's some domains that are good and some domains. QRBE is also one. Pictaz may be something they can sell. There's still quite a few in there. What was the one with Holic? Profitaholic. That can sell. Again, probably a really good brandable. Somebody might pay $1,000 for it. Somebody might pay $4,000 for it because it's a brandable. It's a perfect brandable. And things like Renewal, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. There's a lot of stuff in here that can be sold, but a lot of times when you're dealing with brandables, you have to have a bit more patience to deal with it, and usually it does require some outbound marketing. So happy to help as our first beta test interview to be able to help and get at least one sale going for you. Sorry, go ahead.
So you would say this is a decent portfolio, is it?
I would say for a brandable portfolio, this is a decent portfolio, yes. For a brandable portfolio, it's got some good stuff in it. And it depending, and listen, you have to look at it like you're an accountant. So look at it as how much did you pay for all of those domains combined, right?
I didn't pay a lot. The most of the, so I think half of the domains I invested, some I bought at some smaller price. But the main problem for me and for Helmut and I think for the other investors is the renewal pricing, and because if you have the bigger portfolio, you have the more costs you have. So
believe me, I know that.
So you need to, anyway, it's stimulating you to do the sales. So at least some money is going back to paying for this portfolio.
Yeah, to cover the renewal fees. But I mean, if we can sell one, that covers the renewal fees in a lot of them, and sometimes even more. But yeah, it's accounting, and that's one of the things that hurts domainers is you have to treat it like a regular business, because it is a regular business. Yeah. If you spend $1,000 on names and you're only making $200 every year, and you keep renewing them for $500, you're not profitable, and all you're doing is holding them to make yourself feel better, but it's not doing you any good or your family. So you have to be profitable all the time, every year, and you have to make sure that you know. I'm not even sure most domainers know exactly what they buy, what they spend, and how much their profit is each year. And that's one of the other big downfalls and why we see a lot of names expiring later on, because they figured out when it's too late. So,
also, the one of the things, and I think it's a possibility for the guys like I don't know if Helmut. I don't think Helmut have time, but to create a quite simple portfolio management. Maybe they already exist, because when you have more than 100, it's kind of and they sit in different marketplaces. It's
yes, Adam has disappeared. Yes, so he'll be probably back. Pavel, okay, yes, Adam is coming. Yes, Adam.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I have the best internet in the country, but regardless, yeah, what you're saying was a management tool. There's a tool out there called Domain Punch. It's pretty good. It's made by Softnik, and it allows you to enter all your domains in there. Just add them in. It'll also tell you to. It'll tell you when they all expire, what the DNS servers are, so you can check they're all pointing right. I use it all the time. And I think it's free for 30 days to try, and then after that it's probably about $50-$60, and then it allows you to manage your whole portfolio in one place. And it also gives you the chance to make new domains and add new domains, and it also tells you what register they're at. It tells you the IPs to make sure they're all pointing to the right server. It gives you a whole bunch of information, and it allows you to combine all of your domains. If you want to move some over and see you have 2 at GoDaddy, but you've got 25 over somewhere else, you can bring the 2 over. So it's a really good tool. I have no part of the company, full disclosure, but I've been using their tools for about, I'd say 10 years.
Okay.
So that's a very good tool to manage your portfolio all in one place. So hopefully that helps. But like I said, your portfolio is good. Your level of urgency to sell them is not really high because you've got a business, but you still like to sell 1 or 2 here and there. So hopefully that's what we can help you do.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
So are we finished then with the review? Yes.
We're finished with the review, but Pavel may have questions or
yes,
maybe not.
And to those who are watching, you can ask your questions, and your questions will be brought up on the screen after the first part with Pavel.
Okay.
Pavel?
No, to be honest, I don't have question. I mean, for the small I'm not even saying that I'm the main investor. It's it will be too much. it's like a hobbyist. But for me, it's important. Because I'm not dealing it every day, and I'm not kind of a 100% sales guy. For me, it would be important to know the specialist like you, Adam. And I'm 100% ready to share the profit on sales, and I think it's a market, to be honest, for the big, because it's a lot of domains they just living on the shelves. I'm sure that people like me, they're not advertising them, they're not kind of persuading people why you should buy this domain, and saying, for example, from my point of view, why I can persuade everyone that, okay, this is a Trademarks, this is this one, this is Brands, this is this one, and this is why you should buy these domains. And still, I think many people buying domains, okay, they're saving $1,000 or something, but they buying rubbish domains, to be honest. And especially for the companies and startups, they're not thinking, they're not putting a lot of efforts in the naming.
No, and that's obvious by seeing a lot of the names that drop, and that some weird brandables become household names because they weren't sure what to pick, so they picked something, and then they got popular. But with a brandable name, you have to put a lot of money behind marketing to get it.
By the way, I can tell you one example that
sure.
I've seen this example about 3 years ago, but I'm sure in the market it's a lot of this. It's one new company in my area in accounting practice. They put a new brand. Its name, I don't remember exactly the name, but it was something like Crunch Table or something, or Crunch something. So it's 2 words, or Crunch something. Okay. And they were doing the specialized software for the forecasting. And about 2 years ago, I've just seen that they've changed the name for the also quite weird name. And I understand why they changed, because I went to the internet. I've seen, okay, this is a Crunch. It's a quite big accounting company that in the UK, they put the trademarks on this, and they just tell him, okay, this is our name. You can't work in this area of the services for the accountants, or for in accountancy area. And they change immediately name, and their name I don't remember, but it's also I understand that they were in rush, and they also found not very good name for my position, because it was a bit hard to spell it. But this is real life case. So and they had already quite a lot of media exposure advertising this name, and they spent money. And it is a bit weird to receive the email, okay, we're changing our name. They're not explaining. From my point of view, I would explain, okay, well, it's okay to explain that
we made a mistake.
We made a mistake. We didn't consult the specialist when we acquired this name. So is it violating other people's rights or not? So the domain name itself is not protecting you from the trademark violation. So
no. So there's two things that happen. One is that a lot of companies fail to do the proper due diligence before they just register a domain name and have that name represent their company. They don't do the trademark due diligence to find out if they're infringing on somebody else's trademark until they get the letter. The other side of that is sometimes you have companies that will buy a cheap domain name, and then they'll become a big company, and then they go out and they buy a better, more recognizable domain name because now they can afford it and they've made the money to do it, whereas a startup, they didn't have that. So it really does go both ways. But your example is quite popular for a lot of different companies out there where they didn't do the proper due diligence because to them, it's just a domain name. Anybody can go register a domain name, but they don't think about the trademark infringements that they may have to deal with until they actually get the letter. They just don't even think about it, so they don't think they're doing anything wrong. And quite honestly, a lot of times they may not be doing anything wrong and they don't know about it, but other times there's companies or people that will go out and buy it specifically because it ties to another brand and it may get them some traffic, and they don't think that there's penalties for that. So there's a lot of different ways to register domain names and make sure, even if you own an acronym of a company, and they sell, for example, accounting software, you can do anything you want with that acronym because it's generic, but try not to target the specific industries that you know it's already covering. So if I have, for example, if I've got anything, if I had TDB for TD Bank and I'm not targeting the banking industry, I'm fine. But if I'm going to be stupid and try to target anything to do with banking, I'm in big trouble, like credit card applications or anything like that. So people need to do their due diligence. But you're right. A lot of people don't do it, and then they pay later because then they have to switch all their branding, all their business cards, everything they've paid to do, they have to change, including their logos.
Pavel, for a long, long time, we are having arguments about generic domain names, and Pavel is laughing. We are really good friends, and
you better be if he does your accounting.
Especially over one domain of mine, or my company owns teens.co.uk and .uk. So whoever wants to be leader in teens for teenagers in the UK.
Oh, teens, okay.
Teens, yes. Tango, Echo, yes. And Pavel doesn't like it. Pavel, could you explain why you don't like generics?
Well, first of all, I'm looking at it from the point of view of trademark, and this is it's not possible to it's possible, but it will be not protected to register the name that represent the category in the same category. So if you decide to sell, for example, for the internet shop, you decide to do teens.co.uk as an internet shop, and you're targeting the teens or something. So first of all, trademark. The second, it's when you're doing naming in the same category, they are very easily forgettable. So they just, for me, the value of them are close to zero, to be honest. And because, okay,
that's fine.
I'm not talking about the teens exactly, but again, it's like boys or girls. It's nothing from my point of view. It's nothing special for the end of the customer to remember, because we can see the best brands. So also we can see, because I was when it's going to the trademark, I was looking for the big brands, how they creating their names, how they register the trademarks. And I mean, if you can see the big brands, there are practically no names that represent the same category. And this is because it's not trademarkable, and it's not you can't associate it. And even if going deeper, there is one problem even with a trademark. because if your brand becoming associated with these particular products, it's losing its strengths of the protection. The biggest problem, for example, for Pampers, because the people started to associate Pampers with this particular products, and
nappies.
Yeah,
Yes.
nappies. So they think that Pampers, it's for example, it's a nappies, and
like copy machines are all like Xeroxes.
I think it's belonged to Procter and Gamble, and they have a problem with this name because it's already not protected very good.
Yeah, but you're talking about something that becomes a household brand, like Kleenex, which everyone calls Kleenex, but its real name is a tissue. That's what it's called, or whatever it is. But yeah, everybody associates Kleenex with just the Kleenex being that's the Kleenex, but really that's actually the brand. It's not actually the product. But something like Teens, there's a lot that he can do with it, but he's going to have to build up what that brand is associated with. So if he wants to set up a fashion site or a clothes site specifically for teens, there's a lot of on-page and off-page marketing that Helmut is going to have to do to build that brand around fashion and make sure that people do understand that it's fashion. But there's certainly a lot of value in generic domain names, especially ones that are more targeted, like shoes. You know, when people go to shoes, exactly what they're looking for. So having that is a great name. Now you can break it down into women's shoes, men's shoes. You can do kids' shoes. You can do leather shoes. There's lots of different ways you can do it. And the more specific you get with your on-page and off-page, SEO is what is important. For the example I like to use always is chairs. If I want to advertise chairs, they don't know if I'm talking about a lawn chair, a desk chair, any kind of chair. But if I break it down to executive chair, they know specifically what chair I want. It's more of a direct targeted two-word domain name. Now, if I break it even further and go to leather executive chair, now practically people know what they're shopping for when they go there. And if I break it down once more to black leather executive chair, there's nobody that's going there that isn't finding what they want. So you have to create that branding with your generic and make sure that that's a reason that people are going there. Or like shoes, you have to give them all of the choices that they could possibly be going there for, whether it be adult shoes, men's shoes, women's shoes, baby shoes, leather shoes, whatever that it is. It has to be everything. So yeah, I agree that Teens has some branding that it will have to do, but it's still a very good domain name. But what your point of view is, nobody knows what they're going to find when they get there. And that's why you have to build that brand so they know whether if it's going to be a group to prevent teen suicide, if it's going to be something for teens on tips on makeup, if it's going to be clothes, if it's going to be about anything, you have to build that brand. But it's certainly a viable domain name. It could actually be a portal for all of those things. There's lots of things you can do with that. And I chuckled when you said boys and girls, because I own girls.ca, and I haven't done anything with it because everyone expects to find an adult site there, and it's obviously not going to be that. It's going to be some sort of a fashion site. But Brandables definitely do have a lot of value, but only if you can associate it so that your audience knows what is actually going to be there. So
it was a really good point about that. It will be very difficult to protect that asset.
Well, depending on what you're targeting, if there's an actual company named Teens specifically, or they're targeting a specific brand or a specific thing in a specific country, then it makes it harder. And that's why you have to do all your due diligence to make sure. For all we know, Teens could be a good thing for an orthodontist, because that's when most kids go see the dentist because they need braces or something like that. It could be basically anything. It could be anything that you want it to be, and you can build a brand on it, but then you have to build the recognition, which is why sometimes generic keywords take marketing to be able to do. Some that are so obvious don't. Like if you've got dentist, you know what you're going to find there. If you're orthodontist or dentures, you know what you're going to find there. Salads, you know what you're going to find there. But teens or something more generic that's wide open, it's much harder to figure out exactly what's going to be there. And Pavel's right about that. It makes it harder for everybody. So you have to do some. The other good thing though about Teens is it passes the radio test, meaning is it pronounceable enough so somebody on the radio can hear it and understand what site to go to? The answer is yes. So you don't want something with double letters or weird things, because it makes it hard for people to understand what it is, and there's so many chances of misspelling. So no, Pavel's got some really good points, especially from his perspective being in trademarks.
Pavel, anything else?
No, for the I'm not saying that this is a bad domain, but I mean, from my point of view, it have some pluses and some minuses. Of course, from point SEO, it's a great domains because it's in the same category. But again, if you move into the same category, for example, the one more thing about the brandable domains, you can take the generic word and you can use it very easy in a very different category. For the biggest example, I think, the Windows. So they take the word window and they put it in the IT category. Okay, it's somehow related, but it's a meaning. And the same, for example, the Amazon. It's river, but it's put to the category of internet marketing. So these types of brands. So if you take teens, but not using it for the teens, for adult industry, for the teenagers, but trying to put it in a very different area, it will be much more. It will put much more value to this particular domain, I think.
Yeah,
but
no.
You need to find somehow in the people. You need to find the association. What association is going? Because for Amazon, you have already, even if you know that there is a river, I'm sure 50% of the world don't know that this is a river. But still, for me, it's association with the biggest river. So it's
Yeah. No, that's because all those companies that you mentioned had to put a lot of money behind branding to build out what their keyword is going to mean. And to tell people, we're not talking about a river here. We're talking about Amazon, originally books and now everything. So they had to build that into people for people to understand that there was a lot more, and they had to put a lot of marketing into it. And that's pretty much what has to happen when you build out any business. So no matter what domain it is, whether it's teens or another domain name, you still have to do all that. You have to build out the business and build out even if it's avocados, you still have to make people understand that they can go to avocados.com, and not only are going to get avocados, but they have to figure out where you're going to ship to, what kind of avocados. There's a lot that goes into it, no matter what business you decide to create.
I think Avocado, it's a big chain of restaurants or something. I've seen it them in London.
See, and all I think about is avocado the fruit, because it makes me hungry. That's it. But I believe you that's what it is. But they haven't done enough branding so that I know that.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Pavel.
Thank you.
And
Have a great day, Pavel.
If somebody wants to reach out to you and to buy all your domain portfolio, what would be the best way to contact you?
I think the best way is to contact through you, so they can see where this interview and they contact you, and
or through Adam.
Or through Adam, and I'm very happy to share the revenue profit from you guys.
No, it's we'll see how it goes, but no, it's been nice talking to you, and you have definitely a good perspective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pavel. Bye. Yes, this was a really good one. Yanis is asking, do you use Nameless or other domain generation name tools?
So on the same site so I don't use Nameless. I've never actually heard of it. Maybe I'll take a look at it and see. I'm sure if it's one of those tools where it builds names for you, like you put in a couple of keywords and things like that. There are a bunch of them. I've never really used them that much. I tend to look more for tools where I can pick one or two names and I can go and I can, like one of the tools by Softnik, I forget which one it is. It allows me to take, it's called Domain Name Analyzer. And also has a 30-day trial. It allows me to take 2 or 3 words and it'll combine all of them. So if I want to look up something like Toronto or photographer, and I want to have all the cities in Canada, it'll look up every photographer with all the cities. It'll pair them up and it'll tell me if they're available or not. So it's great for local domain names. If I want to look up all of the 4-letter domain names in a certain TLD or CCTLD, it'll tell me what's still available. I use that, but I'm not saying I can't say anything good or bad about Nameless. I just haven't tried it.
Okay, and now to all the people who are watching, there are not many people though. You can ask your questions and we'll pop them on the screen, or you can ask about your domain name or something, but everything related to domain names. And Adam will do his best, and I'm sure he'll do, and we'll give you an answer. Adam, Any good, interesting purchases, sales over a week?
Huh. Well, I can tell you that from the last interview, I got at least 4 inquiries on different domain names that we talked about, including limo.ca. Somebody else wanted some other domain names, lists of 2 letters and 3 letters that I had, and there was a lot of good information. So just for that alone, I'll probably be selling 1 or 2 domain names from the last interview as well. Probably our friend here will also get some good inquiries on some of his names.
That's fun. And so has Limo found his possible end user?
Not yet. I think it's it may even be a domainer. It may be an end user. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I've had it for a long time, so I'm not in a rush to drive it off to somebody else, so to speak.
One Latvian guy actually went, and after watching your last conversation live stream, he registered in Latvian elephant.lv Zilonis. Amazing domain name that was still available for handrage.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's tough sometimes with CCTLDs is you have to pick what's common in English and in maybe your own language as well to make sure that you've got what you want. But yeah, elephant.com was a really good domain name lawsuit that it was one of the I think it was the first one I ever had to deal with, and luckily we won that one. So,
and it brought us in some profit. Can you share the price you sold elephant.com for?
By now I can. It was I think they offered me probably, if I'm guessing, I think I paid $16,000 for it or $30,000 for it, and I sold it for mid 6 figures after they lowballed me on an offer. So it was a nice high sale. After they lost the lawsuit, they had no choice but to buy it from me. So if you want it, you got to buy it from whoever owns it, whether you like them or not. And they did pay a good money for it. So that's why I still love all my animals, especially my elephants. Landingking domain, a nice name or not for web development. It could be a really good development if you're going to build customized landing pages for people. For that, landing pages are huge right now, and there's lots of companies out there that just strictly run on landing pages. So yeah, I think it's a really good name, but you're going to have to build something that's close to it, or find somebody who's interested, who already runs a landing page company if you're looking to sell it. But for development, it's a good name.
Yanis is from Latvia, and he runs and owns professional. There are web designers, and then there are professional ones.
Yeah.
So professional WordPress.
There are web designers who just install a WordPress theme and think they're a web designer, but there's actually people that go in and customize everything from the CSS to the theme, to the buttons, to everything, that are real developments.
So, any good purchases?
So I'm trying to think. This week, I haven't really bought much. I've been busy with lots going on in the family here. My wife has a hernia that she's getting operated on in about 6 weeks. So I've been busy with lots of family stuff. So no, I really haven't. I've probably bought some, but off the top of my head, I can't really remember all of the ones that I've bought. Quite a few are in sales mode. I get about 5 offers a day on different domain names. So some of them are going back and forth.
We have my company, or we have acquired 10 LV ones
this week.
Yes.
Wow.
That was a good deal. If a person who sold me is watching, thank you.
It's probably a good deal for both of you, or he wouldn't have sold, or she.
Absolutely, he. Yes. Well, it was a much better deal for me. Good. Sometimes it. Yes, you have to wait. You have to wait. Even if you are buying, it is so easy to overpay. Is it?
Oh, it's very easy to overpay, but it's also very easy to overpay and still be happy. So there's domains where I knew I overpaid, but I also knew what my plans were to do with the domain name and how profitable it could make me be if I got the domain name and built it out. So yes, you can overpay, but sometimes it's good to overpay if you know you're going to make a lot more with that domain anyway. If you're talking about it happens all the time. And there's been some overpays which I've done which didn't turn out the way I did, and Those I just have to suck it up and hopefully either build something else, try something else, or resell the domain name. But most times that I overpay, it's because I have a plan for the domain name and I'm going to build a business on it. It's not because I'm just going to hold it and sit on it.
What are the domain names you have overpaid the most?
Well, the one we talked about earlier, girls.ca. I thought I was going to build a really good fashion site or something. It's been sitting with me for probably about 10 years now. Haven't really given it the effort that I should. When you have thousands of domain names, you have really good plans to build it a lot. But one of the biggest problems I've had is I can't build out 5, 10 sites at once. I have to focus and I have to do one at a time if I'm going to make it a viable business. That was definitely one that I overpaid on that probably eats away at me.
How much did you pay for it?
85,000 Canadian. Quite a few years ago.
85,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
I paid £1,500 for teens.
Well, that's a good deal.
It came on the market. It was yes on Acon. There is a British domain name forum.
Yeah, I've heard them.
And it came up there. I just saw the deal, made an offer. It was the offer was live, maybe maximum 5 minutes.
No, that's how you have to be. If you're going to pay attention to the forums, you can scoop up good domain names if you're quick. And I can tell the viewers one thing: the best time to purchase domain names is probably between January and March. Usually it's because people have overspent on their Christmas credit cards and they need money to pay them off, and they're selling anything to get some money to do it. I picked up some really good bargains in that time period between January and March.
There's a question Jan
Sure.
is asking. Last question. Maquito.
Okay, so Maquito is a really tough one. As long as you're not targeting marketing, because Marketo is a very famous marketing system automation tool, and it's owned by Adobe. So you need to be careful if you're going to target. As long as you're not targeting anything to do with that Marketo has, you'll be fine. But Adobe just bought Marketo, I think, less than a year and a half ago, and it's a huge company and platform, kind of like HubSpot. So you kind of want to, it's like Salesforce and HubSpot. Marketo is a marketing automation platform. So stay away from that. And it's a decent domain name because it's a typo. But I'm sure there's all kinds of places that are called Maquito or Maqueto. You could do keto diets with something to do with it. You could do all kinds of things. Just stay away from marketing automation.
Okay. Oh, that was a really good one. I didn't know that. So Marketo. How do you approach companies like Adobe, Microsoft?
Depends what the domain is. You can't approach them with a name like that because then it tells them right away that you know that if you do anything off of that domain name that's related to them, you're profiting off their trademark and then you'll get sued. So you cannot approach anybody like that with that name.
Yes. Oh, my apologies. I was thinking actually about something else. Quite often, huge companies own brilliant domain names.
Yes.
And in many cases, they do not resolve at all.
Yeah.
There are no redirects, nothing. They just sit there. How do you approach huge companies, corporations, and in order to inquire about the domain name?
So chances are there's two reasons why they're going to have them. One is because they got it, not so much for brand protection, but for industry protection. So for example, if a phone company owns a voice over IP or something like that, they may not want to rebrand their company. They may not want to do anything with it. They just want to make sure somebody else doesn't have it. So that's a way of holding it for brand protection so that the domain name itself doesn't create a competitor for them. There's a guy who's owned a domain name that I think I've been chasing for quite a while. It doesn't come to me right now, but it will. Oh, I know what it is. It's articles.com. He's had it. His company has nothing to do with articles. He never will. He's just not interested in selling it. He's going to hold it. Eventually, maybe he's already sold it by now. Who knows? But for years, he ran like a grocery store chain or something online, but had nothing to do with articles, and he just didn't want to sell it. So sometimes they just hold it for investment, for brand protection, or they may have a thought of trying to build a new brand or something new out of it in a related company, but they just never got to it. So chances are you're not going to get those names. I know HP has a whole bunch of generics, and so do other companies, and you're just not going to get them from them. It's part of their sales value, I guess, when they actually sell something at a company.
So in cases like these, you would say, don't waste your time and energy.
No, I would waste a bit of time, but you'll know right away from the first email. They're either going to tell you to bugger off, we have no interest, or they may open the door a little bit, but they may be looking for millions of dollars for the domain name. Because it doesn't benefit them to sell a domain name for $20,000 or $50,000 for huge corporations. They're not going to get involved for that.
Does make sense. So Yanis is saying thank you.
My pleasure.
And use landingking. That he'll use landingking. Talking about kings, have you noticed Rick's move? The domain king, Rick Schwartz.
What do you mean? The things he's been posting recently?
Yes.
About companies not realizing the right domain name or things like that, or it's too late?
No. About some company that owes him $80,000.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Would you open your screen? Let us see.
My screen?
Yes, and he actually has used two of his domains.
Okay,
yes.
So I'll share my screen.
So we can do it live.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
And then I want to watch your face.
Well, listen, where am I going?
Okay, we are making the screen a bit higher, that it fits in absolutely. And the address is bitch.com.
Okay. Okay.
Here we go.
Your cruise receipt?
Yep.
Crystal Cruise Lines. Okay, so I have seen things like this done, and I've actually know people that have had success doing this. There was a gentleman named Ian Clark. He is a domainer.
Okay.
And I'll switch back to you for a second.
Cool.
Stop sharing.
Yes.
And what he did was he had an auto mechanic, local auto mechanic, screw him over. He bought the auto mechanics close to exact name of the owner. I think it was the exact name of the owner. He sent the owner a link. I think it was only about $3,000, $3,500, but obviously to some people and to me too, that's still a lot of money, and you don't want to get screwed over. It's more about the principle. So he posted all the whole facts on it. He sent them a thing. Not only did he get the $3,500 paid back, but he got free tune-ups and free this and free that, and turned the domain over. So sometimes posting the truth online and telling people about it. There's that old saying that one unhappy customer will tell 1,000. One happy customer may tell one or two. The Rick's post shows that Rick is doing what Rick needs to do to raise issue to it and to let the world know that he was screwed over by this cruise company. And it's a lot of money. It's $80,000. So power to Rick, and power to him for being the guy that he is that does this type of thing. And I would make sure that I'm sure he probably has get it out there to all the other cruise companies, to all their competitors, and it may let them know how to act in the future. And maybe, who knows what can happen? Maybe another cruise company will step up and do something for him. But Rick shouldn't be penalized $80,000 for an issue like that. So good for Rick.
And what about the side effects on the domain?
The
first side effect, I was impressed, as I thought Rick, from my side, I've seen Rick occasionally, and yes, he has a few of those awesome domains. But as I understand, most of his portfolio is
no.
Sorry, Rick, if you are watching, but those are my personal thoughts. But then once he says that he owns bitch.com, and another one was, pardon my French, or not French, motherfuckers.com, also used for this one. Then you are like, whoa, these are amazing domain names.
Well, I had, everybody knows that I had assholes.com for a while, excuse my French. Yes. I use it for a lot of different things, and then I recently sold it just because I decided that people thought I was having a fire sale, but I was going in a different direction. I sold a lot of, I constantly consolidate my profile into better names. So when I sell a domain name, I use some of the money to buy a better domain name, and I bank the rest of it. Rick has a great portfolio of names. Rick has always been outspoken. He's a great guy, and he's done amazing things. Both him and Howard and Barbara have done amazing things for the industry, and he's always been an outspoken leader. To be a leader, you have to be outspoken, and he is that. And using the domain name for that purpose will not hurt the domain name at all. Probably Rick doesn't plan on selling it anyway for a while, so it does not have any negative value to the domain name at all. But it has a very valuable purpose today.
Yes, and I think he brought up awareness as well, that he owns those domain names, and he's still in the game, like standing strong.
Well, Rick will always be in the game. Standing strong. And most people who have been in the game and you don't hear from now because they're quiet in the background, like I was for 4 years or 5 years, they're still in the game. They just don't need the public attention and the scrutiny and the criticism from others, because they've done and they've made their place and they're successful, and they don't need anybody to talk to them or waste their time with unpopular opinions. Rick is, I have great admiration for Rick. He took me in early on, showed me his house. He got my excitement up in domain names. Oh,
did he?
He did. He got me excited about it. Somebody took me to his house actually late at night one night when I was in Florida, when my dad was suffering from a brain tumor. And there was a lot of goodwill and a lot of good things. So I owe Rick a lot, Howard and Barbara as well. So nothing but great things to say about them. But Rick knows what he's doing, I can tell you that. Even if he doesn't get the $80,000 back, he's gotten that off his chest, and sometimes that's good therapy too.
I can't see the way he. Okay, maybe it is possible not to get those 80,000 back. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it depends how much the company values its reputation.
He's doing a proper damage now.
Mm-hmm.
Proper damage, and this story travels around.
And by mentioning today, we're helping him get the word out. So we should continue to do that. And even I'll share the page later because I didn't know what was going on, because people should know what happened to Rick. It's not right.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Yes.
But imagine if you don't have that domain name and you have no way of reaching out and they don't take your calls.
And you're
screwed.
Voice. Yes.
Yeah. If you don't have a voice, you're screwed.
And as he said on that website, that you can go and, once again, bitch.com, read the whole. Mm-hmm. It is, the layout is very clear there, and the question is raised there: if he was one of the largest clients, what are the chances to get money back for the small ones?
Not very good. Rick has the money and the power to sue and to fight properly as well, whereas little people that, I don't mean little people, but people without the financial backing to be able to do that can't, and they're just going to get screwed, unfortunately.
Yep. Awesome. 1 hour over. Thank you, Adam. Anything else?
Listen, we've used up time. I think we've got stuff. I was going to show a tool and stuff, but we'll have to save it for the next time because it'll take a long time to go through it all. But it's a tool that shows domainers how to filter and find domainers, find domains, not domainers, and really filters domains down from the deleted domains. Gives you lists of dropping CCTLDs in every type of domain you could be looking for within 24 hours or later of when they drop. We will do probably a whole show on that when we have time. But this was a great opportunity to speak to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me this morning.
Oh, Adam, you are fantastic. Seriously, the amount of knowledge and experience you have, it is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
so next time we are talking about tools.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we can fill up quite a few hours of shows, so we'll try to keep it short for the tools one.
And I think the good length is around 1 hour. Yes.
Yeah, I think with an hour and a half on the last one, people were telling me they paused and then they came back and watched the end. So
I did hear the same. And what about the best times for us? Is this a good time for you? Now it is 10 a.m. in the morning, yes? Or should we go
no, I'm fine.
Later?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. And you have to be special if I'm getting up early for a 10 a.m. meeting with Helmut. But we also got to turn the clock back an hour last night, so I got an extra hour's sleep. So it's all good.
Awesome. Fantastic. So thank you. And one domain that people should check and consider of yours we haven't mentioned? One special domain.
Oh, it's hard to really.
.com, one special.com.
And honestly, I couldn't really give you one special.com. I mean, there's so many. I don't like to. They're like kids. I don't like to pick favorites because then the other kids get jealous. So I will not promote anything. I'll just be happy to say, check out HostMaria if you haven't already. Great guy to talk to, and I'm sure a great hosting company.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.